good.
That's good.
That's why I wanted to throw in the
Yeah.
Fermi paradox. Go look it up. It's super interesting. There's way more explanations.
Yeah, it actually kind of segues actually quite nice. So quick backstory. My new job, I get to work outside all the time, as much as I want. So I've really had the opportunity to reconnect with nature in a way that I've been missing. Because up until until I started my apprenticeship, I was outside working all the time. That's what I was doing. My whole college education was an environmental field to be outside. I was setting myself up to be the guy that they heli drop into the middle of a forest, and I take a bunch of samples, and then they pick me up and I go analyze those samples. Turns out there's only like a handful of those people in the country. So that dream died pretty quick. But still, the idea is I want to be outside working with my hands. So now I get to do that. And I had the opportunity to sit around and just enjoy the storm that was happening today. And it made me think, so my question to you guys is, what is, if you can narrow it down to like a couple of things, because for me it's tough, but what is your favorite experience to have in nature, outside? Is it watching the sunset?
Rainstorm's a good one. I have some fond memories of being in some tall trees on a narrow river in Quebec. Just the rain pouring down, but we're all in our raincoats, still drenched, but just hiding in the trees, watching the rain fall on that lake. And just never, like, you have a couple of beers and a backpack, and just the sound of the rain and nothing else.
Just experiencing, like some people would just, that would be just torture. Oh my God, I'm wet, I'm outside.
You're in your grummy camping clothes, you're living in a cabin. I mean, Beth is there, but generally you don't care how smelly you are. She knows.
No, but that's a good point. Like, I love seeing those moments right before a storm and right after the storm. I love being in the storm. That's cool. The smell is a good one, but just the clouds. Like when there's a really intense storm and it's still the daylight and you can see the craziness in the clouds. Like I love looking at the sky all the time.
Sound of water, running water too. That same location puts us so close to gorgeous falls, the Kipwa River Falls, and the sound of that running water in the middle of the night.
Maybe technology has been a bad thing. I'm just thinking back, and I remember like just 2 weeks ago, Jules had had somebody up, and it was a beautiful sunny, one of the first beautiful sunny days of spring, and we were all just feeling kind of lazy that day. We closed all the blinds and watched Planet Earth for 8 hours. but I do remember being a kid and living, it's just in Wingham, and we had a lot that backed onto, there was a steep hill, and then it backed onto the Maitland River. Mm-hmm. And I remember being a kid, and those were the most like memorable, like just magical moments in my life, is just building rafts and forts, and we had a swing with a tire on it, and just like, just feeling like a wild man. Yeah, people don't even do that.
Some kids do. Some kids live in places where they could, but I lived right downtown pretty much. I lived on McKendrick when I was a kid, and we would just go over to the Davidson Center, go into the woods, and be there all day, every day.
Yep.
I would basically come home when the sun starts to get lower and starts to get a little darker, come home. That was what was expected of me as long as my parents knew I was going there. I'd come back when I was ready to come back.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So I had a story heard a story from a coworker, just filled me up with joy, because I thought the same thing. Kids these days don't do that. Blah, blah, like we're taking the hammers away from the kids, and everyone lives in a bubble, and blah blah blah.
Kids these days.
Oh,
yeah. 15 years.
I know.
My problem is adults these days. It's not kids these days.
I
kids
know.
Still would go out.
Parents these days is the problem.
Yeah, you're right.
From 4 guys without kids.
That's why you don't have kids. But like, never leave the house.
So anyway, my coworkers telling me.
Basement now.
Coworkers telling me about the storm that we were having the other day, because it rained pretty much all day, and they're telling us about how they just stayed in the house with the kids, just had a big movie marathon. Everyone was lazy, and it was great. Nice little family bonding experience. The one little girl just loves making like sand, like food, and like still has that like imagination of like creating things, right? So she needs water to do that. So she's outside, it's raining, and she's got all these different buckets set up to catch all this rain. And the little kid, like the other kids in the family, are just like on their Game Boys or phones or whatever, tablets, just playing. And she's like, "Can I go outside? Like, yeah, if you want. Like, put a coat on.
Pretty boring out
Yeah,
there.
so she's got her coat and her boots, and she's out moving her buckets around to catch the most rain so she can, like...
That's cute.
Right?
That's cool.
And I was like, yeah, that's what we need. The kids still has that...
Kids
Society
don't understand
hasn't
how rain
crushed...
works. It falls the same amount everywhere, kid.
Well, sometimes it comes like this. Sometimes the house is in the
I don't
way,
know
so you
how
got to get it
rain
away
works.
from the house.
I don't know when it works outside.
There was logic there. So anyway, she hadn't been crushed by the weight of society. You could still go and enjoy like the child whimsical experience of being outside in a storm and just
I
living
hope if
it
I
up.
ever have kids that I can live in a place where I can feel comfortable letting my kids do that. Because I know that when I was a kid living right in town there, going out to the Davidson Center, until like some shit happened where some of my friends went into the forest and some guy was like, "Hey kids," and then they like ran away, and then that was a big deal. We couldn't go back in the forest after that. Well, we were at that age where we could, but we were all kind of like, "Well, let's just hang out at home," you know.
Yeah.
But like, which I guess is not the most shining example of why you should let your kids go out into the forest. But
Dylan's hanging out in the forest.
That camera eats memory cards.
I tell you that my friends were like assaulted by someone. I'm telling you about our like stand by me, and you're like, Dylan, hands out of the forest, wait for him.
Stand by me.
I told you my stand by me. Hold on. So let's get back to your question though.
What is just like moments, multiple ones if you got them, or like what's your favorite things to do and experiences to have?
Tricky place. I don't know how to format a card in here.
Things to you love experiencing in nature that you can't get that feeling from being inside.
I put one in there, but mine goes back to those like times hanging out in the forest as a kid. I love just running through the woods, off the trails, climbing things. Like I love climbing trees, even if it's not climbing a tree, but just like finding like if there's a path, going along the side of the path, and everyone else is walking the path, just going down the side of the path and finding places to walk that are more interesting. I don't know. Like I love advanced hikes. Like when I was in Hawaii, going or Kauai specifically, going up the side, like going up this like really crazy hike, and like everyone else seemed to be getting so tired, and I was just like jogging along, like bouncing like sheer cliff on the one side. I'm just like like bouncing the whole way there and the whole way back, just like this is the best thing ever. Just running along in like nature, even if it's like even if you are on the trail. I love going off the trail, but if you are on the trail and just like just running, jogging, like skipping through, like even if I'm not like I'm not a jogger. But when I'm in the woods, like I get that pep in my step where I can't walk at a normal speed.
You are a poster child for Lyme disease. Just run off the trail as fast as you can.
That's all right. Just bring your little tweezers and pull all the ticks out.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, one of my greatest ambitions in life was to be the best tree climber. I remember that. I loved climbing trees. Really wanted to be the world's best.
Me and my buddy Ben had moments like that. We just find the biggest trees we could find and just climb them right to the top, to the point where it's like we should climb down because this whole crown of this tree could break off.
Yeah.
Like our weight's too much at the top of this tree. But that turned both of us into rock climbers. So we do that as a hobby.
Right on.
So to bring it back for me, why I love the experience I get from nature that I hardly ever get. I can't imagine too many times that I've ever had the feeling from society as a whole, but I get it from nature, is that feeling of blissful insignificance, where you see a mountain and you're like, that is just has nothing to do with me, and it's just gorgeous and it's gonna stay here, and it makes me feel okay that I don't have to be a part of that. I am right now, and I'm in this moment, and that's all that needs to happen. I don't have to own that thing. I don't have to take that back with me. And same as like seeing a big natural event, like watching a thunderstorm. It's another one of those things where it's like thinking about everything that's happening has nothing to do with you. Like you did not contribute to that event happening in any way, shape, or form. And it's just that feeling of being like, yeah.
It's like freedom. It's
like the world's
yeah.
not so bad. This is all right.
It's like accepting your insignificance and being okay with it. It's like realizing that like I am not as big of a deal. Things aren't as big of a deal as I make them out to be. Look at that beautiful thing that existed, with whether I existed or not.
Exactly.
Right? Like, yeah.
Do you find you're good at like pushing yourself to do things that scare you? Like if you like the reason I think of this is because I've always wanted to like jump off of a cliff, into
cool.
do like the cliff diving. But I'm bad. Even when I was like a kid and had to jump off the pier, I would stand there for. It took me the first time I jumped off the pier. It took me forever to get muscle up and just jump. Mm-hmm. Like, do you find you're good? Like, if you had to do like skydiving or
we're doing skydiving for my bachelor party.
That's awesome.
Do you guys want to come? Any of you?
Okay, fine.
Throw that right back at you then. Here's like a real example.
We'll talk about this in more detail.
Okay.
I just had
It's expensive.
anxiety.
Can we
Like,
illegally base jump instead?
They do it in Grand Bend. They have skydiving.
That I could get into.
just come pull out the bottom of the plane, lift the trap door, and you just take a shit on people you hate. Fly over your neighbor's house. This is for your dog crapping my lawn.
If the thing after the fear moment requires like no conscious skill or effort, or like what I perceive to be no conscious skill or effort, without hesitation, I jump off shit. I stick my head in, like I bob for squid. With cameras weren't even rolling.
Bob for squid.
It was I worked in the art department for like a version. It was like Kids Survivor, and off camera they wanted to see if this game was safe for kids and if they could do it. And another guy who worked in the art department had refused to test the bobbing for squid thing because he was just like, no, I'm not sticking my head in that bucket. And so I didn't even know the executive producer knew who I was, but he called for me over the walkie-talkie by name. And I show up there and he's like, you'll try this, right? And the other guy's standing there like looking at me like, don't do it, man. I don't know any of that, of course, but I was just like, yeah, of course I will. Sticking my head in there trying to bite into squid flesh. It was dead, but you're trying to like bite into squid flesh with your freaking human teeth. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's all rubbery like an eraser.
But if it's like, a free basing, climbing a mountain with like no gear and then base jumping off of it, I would not just be like, "Yup, let's do it tomorrow," because I'm not prepared.
I think I like doing
free
shit that scares me.
climbing and base jumping are both climbing things. I think free basing is just heroin.
Free basing is what they call it when you do free climbing and then you base jump.
Yeah, you got.
Okay.
So if you fall,
Clever girl.
during your climb,
Not you. I mean the people who came up with that
pull
are.
it.
Jurassic Park. I get it. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny though where that line is because things like adventure racing, I both times I did it, I waffled and wanted to back out and thought I couldn't do it, and a friend of mine had to remind me.
Adventure racing, that show with Dick Dastardly and.
Yes. No, you just run around in the woods. It's like it's the adult version of running around in the woods off the trail. Only you pay $400 to do it,
and you stay on the trail.
And you're supposed to orienteer and find all these check marks. And
that actually sounds like a lot of fun.
It is
people
a lot of
race.
fun.
Once you
It's very challenging, and I didn't think I could do it. But then my friends reminded me, like, you're not going to die. That's actually our team motto.
That's actually that's a great way of looking at a challenge like that. Is like you could come in last. That's the worst thing that can happen to you.
Yeah.
Like, and you're probably gonna have more fun coming in last than you would killing yourself to come in first, unless that's the thing you're into. But if you're worried about losing and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna suck.
I'm gonna be
then
embarrassed.
You're probably gonna have a lot of fun when you come in last.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like go if that same friend was like, you wanna get squirrel suits and climb Half Dome in Yosemite and jump off it next week. I would be like, let's train as rock climbers for 10 years.
How about we take the trail to the top of Half Dome and then jump off?
Even then, I would want to get some squirrel suit time in. I think
before the first
off a
one.
2 kilometer freaking mountain.
How do you train for that? Do you do like
There's
skydiving?
Yeah, I'm not gonna put a number out, but there's a lot of numbers, like hours you have to have.
And like you would be doing it from like a jump from a plane, skydive.
Well, they practice and then pull the chute. Right?
But you wouldn't be doing it like base jumping with a squirrel suit first, right?
Not first, no, probably not.
Because that just seems like a bad idea.
Well, that's super
Base jumping
dangerous.
in general seems like a bad idea.
Your movements, apparently, are like you hardly have to move your body at all because you're moving so fast.
I was just picturing like trying it the first time and being like,
Yeah.
like flipping up, like just going tumbling and then not even be able to pull the cord.
Yeah,
I would
so,
die.
To answer
for
your
sure.
question, though, I feel like I'm better at trying things that make me scared than I used to be.
I'm
Oh,
the
okay,
same
yeah,
way.
me
Once you do it once or twice, once you sort of work that muscle where it's like, yeah, I'm scared, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Once you do that once or twice, it's like other things don't seem as scary anymore. So you become used to it. Yeah.
I've gotten a lot better now that I realize one of my greatest failings is my fear of failure.
Yeah.
That like I'm so afraid of failing that I don't do things
Yeah.
more often than I try to do things and fail. Now that I realize that about myself and I've sort of come to terms with that and started grappling with it, I've gotten a lot better, but I'm still, if I'm scared to do something, I'm way more likely to be like, no guys, I'm staying home. And then being upset with myself for it, you know? But
Talking to women.
yeah,
That's a
totally.
tough one. That's a tough one.
Well, I didn't, like, I completely shot myself in the foot growing up because I was, like, an uncool kid, unpopular, and didn't ever try and just, like, put myself out there. Like, I wish I would have realized then that, like, failing then would have been a lot less painful than failing now when the people that I'm talking to are grown women who have a standard for for the person coming up and talking to them. They walk up and like, you like
Step.
spaghetti?
That's funny.
Next
But see,
week on Cahootscast, what not to do in high school.
this and I was just laughing about Dylan there. Afraid to put yourself out there, says the guy that was in the paper 3 times in 2 weeks. You know.
Yeah, you're a jerk.
But like that it requires no interpersonal skills. If I'm good enough at what I do, people will continue asking me to do it without me having to be charming.
It just so happens you're good at interpersonal skills.
From a distance. I'm great at being a people person as long as I don't have to interact with one specific person. If it's a room full of people and none of them have a face, then I'm great at it. If I have to talk one-on-one with the person and be charming and that bullshit, I suck at it.
Why though? When you're talking to a room, it's just a
I
whole bunch
wish-
of one people. You know, it's just a whole bunch of ones. You know,
But I don't have to be. I don't have to engage with them on a personal level, and They aren't really seeing me. They're seeing a person.
Character.
yeah.
Like that's how I learned to interact with people when I was younger. Was pretend to be someone else. I know we're not on topic at all, and we should wrap it up.
We should split. We could split this into like 10 podcasts. Yeah.
So just podcast over. That's where it's a tradition.